Good afternoon, everyone. To this two-day training on professional tool to automate, connect, and visualize on Tally Prime. This is a weekly training session that is conducted every week on different tools. Last week it was Zoho, and before last week it was Tally Prime. So I welcome everyone to this houseful batch of Tally Prime. Before we start, I want to introduce you to the architect of this training program, the chairman of the Committee for Members and Practice, CA Rohit Rewatiya ji. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Sachin bhai. Very good afternoon to Kunal ji and all the participants who are here in this training program. Of course, it is a great pleasure. We are regularly conducting various training program every week for our members in order to have the capacity building, along with the practice ki Pathshala, which we are regularly organizing every month in the Center of Excellences at Jaipur and Hyderabad. The next program is of practice ki Pathshala is going to be scheduled on 5th to 7th July at both the COEs. So I'll urge the participants to kindly register for the upcoming program. Along with kindly regularly visit the CMP benefit website for which we are doing the tie-up regularly. So we are getting a good response from membership across the country, and we'll be doing a lot of new activities and initiative in the country regularly. So I'll not take today much of the time of you all. Thank you once again for coming to this particular training program. And I request if any suggestions are there from the membership, you can always send to the committee and to me as well. So we'll take all these suggestions forward. So thank you very much. Over to you, Sachin.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing our work, and of course, you are the leader of the team and doing all the things. So now I would like to welcome CA Kunal Soni ji. He will be taking today's session. He's a practicing chartered accountant and currently working for ERP implementation and CFO advisory. His main domain of work includes giving advisory on system implementation and structuring transactions considering direct tax, indirect tax, and customs. He has overall 6 year experience and has 2 years of corporate experience and has a designated as group CFO in one of the leading textile manufacturing company and has managed entirely finance and ERP implementation in the group. He has been awarded by Tally as a Tally evangelist and currently he has been into corporate advisory services for financial restructuring, corporate restructuring, import export advisory on various incentive schemes of government. He is a Six Sigma White Belt certified, Zoho Finance certified, and he is Microsoft 365 Business Central certified functional consultant. So, good afternoon, Kunalji. I welcome to this two-day training session. I thank you for taking this session. So, over to you, sir.
Very good afternoon to one and all present here. Thank you, ICI and CMP committee members, for inviting me as a speaker. So now discussing regarding the today's session. So thing is why Tally and why we are discussing on the automation and the features available in Tally. So discussing about Tally, see Tally, if we discuss about it, is one of the most used software if we consider for basically for SMEs or MSMEs. So majoritarily, I would say that if you are going anywhere or for any clients or approaching any clients, it is something that they might be using Tally. Because see, there are many other softwares like let's say SAP, Oracle, or Microsoft also, but they are more or less into large entities. Tally, I would say during the course of time has evolved as an ERP. So it see when GST came in 2017, if we say, it provided with the features for GST integration, for GST compliance, and all those things. When e-invoice came, it provided the features for e-invoicing directly through Tally. So this is something which has provided much use to the users, and majority of the users, if we consider today, they are more or less into Tally. Now, today our session basically, see, we have mentioned some of the thing in the brochure that has been circulated to you, that what all things we are going to discuss. But my basic focus today would be on providing you with the brief of the features that Tally has provided. See, being a chartered accountant, there are many features from the perspective of audits, analysis, and many things which could be available directly from Tally. However, being unaware of the fact we are not actually utilizing the same to the extent the benefit should be available to the fraternity. So my basic focus today would be on just providing you with a brief of all the features that are there in the Tally, to provide you with the brief and so that you have an understanding for the same and you could excel the same in your practice. Okay, so I would just share with my screen for the same, and I would try that maximum uh, I could show you with the practical demos for the same in the live Tally itself, so that the things are more clear to you. And if in case you have any question, yes, you can stop me in the middle and I would be ready to answer the same. Okay, so now see, first thing regarding discussing about the Tally versions. Previously it was Tally 2.0, then it came 3.0, then 4.0. So what is the basic difference in the 4.0? When 4.0 came, it has came up with the three basic additional functionalities. One, if you discuss, that is regarding the dashboard in the Tally. So dashboard, if you consider, now this is basically from the MIS perspective of the management. So what happens? See, there are various reports like receivable, payables, daily turnover, daily accounting ratios. Now, if the management wants to verify the same in a single click on a single dashboard, then these all dashboards are available on a single click. So this is one of the feature that Tally 4.0 has bought into. Apart from that, there is one more feature that is regarding the import from Excel. Now see, there is an option on the top of the Tally that is regarding import. When you go into the same, there are options for master and transaction import. Now till date, what was available was you were able to import the data in Tally through XML only. If you want to import through Excel, it was available through the TDL, that you need to take it from the any of the Tally developer or any of the Tally registered partners who would have developed the same. So through that TDL, you were required to you would be able to import the data into the Tally. Now Tally has provided an inbuilt feature in Tally which provides that you could even upload the data directly from the Excel sheet. So you have any damn Excel sheet, you would be in a position to import the data directly from the Excel. So this is one of the very useful feature that is provided as of now. And apart from that, if uh, you are a vendor who is dealing with the Amazon or Shopify, if you have any business which has been linked to Amazon or Shopify, then they have even provided the import sheet directly from the, see, Amazon provides with an details in the Excel. That particular Excel that has been provided by the Amazon, that could be that would be directly imported in the Tally. So that is again one of the very good feature that has been provided. So see, when you go to import Excel, you need to provide the path of the same. And once you provide the path, you would be asked that whether you want to input that sheet. We would go into the detail of the same entirely after a while. But these are some of the features that has been available. So one is the dashboard feature that is available. Apart from that, there is an import feature that has been available. You could import directly from Excel. Previously, it was just the XML. Now you will be able to import the master and the transaction directly from the Excel sheet available with you. And apart from that, there is one more feature that has been provided, that is regarding the WhatsApp integration in Tally. So if you want to have WhatsApp of any invoice or receivable or anything to your customers, then in that particular case, you would be able to directly send it to Tally itself. So WhatsApp could be integrated through Tally. There would be a registered API of the vendor. And through that particular thing, you could directly send the messages in the WhatsApp of your particular customers. So these are the three very good features that has been introduced in Tally 4.0, which makes the life of the businessman very easy. Apart from that, when we are discussing about the chartered accountants community, so for chartered accountants also, see, we also do have a follow up with our customers regarding the billing and all those stuff. So for that also, we could use this WhatsApp feature. So through that, we would be in a position to directly send the receivables on a continuous intervals to our customers, so that our receivable would have would turn into the actual receipts very easily. So I would say that these are the three very good features that has been provided as of now. Apart from that, there has been many updations in the GST compliances. So GST Tally has provided for directly e-invoice, e-way bill clarification. directly e-way bill integration, so that you would be able to generate the e-way bill and invoice directly from Tally. Any differentiation in the same would even be available directly from the Tally. So we would be basically going into the each of the features and explaining you that how this could be useful in our practice.
Kunalji, many of the participants are saying that your volume is low, so kindly increase your volume.
Okay, just a minute. Hello. So hope the same would be audible as of now. Okay. So now discussing about each of the features. So first I would like to provide a focus with the Tally Prime audit trail. So now see, whenever you would be looking into the Tally, there is something that is mentioned. See, there are two versions of Tally as of now. For each of the version, be it be Tally 2.0, 3.0 or 4.0, it is Tally Prime and Tally Prime Edit Log. So what's the difference between the same? So Tally Prime is the normal version which does not provide with the trail of the audit or the edit log. So whatever additions or alterations have been made in Tally that are not available in the normal Tally Prime. However, when you would have installed the Tally Prime edit log, in that particular case, entire trail of any of the modification of the transaction would be available with you. So I would just show you with the live demo data on the same. Let's say I'm doing any of the data entry for any payment or anything. So let's say on 31st March 2024, I am doing a payment entry of 5,000 for Abhishek Industries. Now going into the same ledger, let's say with the same user, I am just modifying the same. I'm modifying the amount to the 10,000. Okay. So now see, initially I entered the amount from the same user with an amount of 5,000. Now I'm altering the same to 10,000. So if being an auditor also, being a CA fraternity, see now there is even a reporting that has been mandated in the audit report, that any of the alterations of the audit trail and all those things we are supposed to mention in the report. So how we would be able to know the same? So the thing is that there has been option which has been provided, that is regarding the related reports. So I would just click on the same. So there is an option here which is regarding edit log, Alt Q. That's a shortcut for the same. So once I press the same, see, it shows me with the transaction that this particular version, it was created by username, that is A. It was created on 6 June 24 on 15th and 317. Now when I would press enter on the same, it would provide me with an entire detail of the same, that on which particular parameters what entry was done. So see, initially the entry was done to the considering an amount of 5,000 rupees. Now when I would go into the alter trail, so in that particular case, it shows me that the amount was initially that was there, that was 5,000 rupees. Now the same has been changed to 10,000 rupees. And apart from that also, see, whatever alterations would be made, that would be highlighted in red. So all other things are one and the same that was there as previous. So it provides me with the details of the same, that is version 1 and version 2. So version 1 was entered on 6 June 24 on 317. Version 2 was even on 6 June 24 on 317. But what alterations are made? That is with respect to the amount was changed from 5,000 to 10,000. So being an auditor, if you want to verify the same, that which all alterations were made in the year end, be it before stock adjustments or any particular thing, then we would get it directly from the Tally itself. And apart from being an auditor, it is not only useful as an auditor, but even for the internal controls of the company's internal system. So let's say Mr. A made an entry of 5,000. All of a sudden, Mr. B changed the same to 10,000. So if you want to track the same, you want to have the trail of the same, that who entered the details, who altered the same at what particular point of time, for what user, for what reason, then in that particular case, you would be able to have the trail directly from the tally itself. So this is again one of the very useful feature from reporting perspective, if we consider, or even from the aspect of the internal control for the companies. Okay, there is a question that can we generate a consolidated report for audit trail, or have to check each and every entry every time? So see, it is not like that, that you are supposed to go into the voucher, then check the report of related reports, and post that you are supposed to check that whether it was altered or not. See, all the transaction in the tally would be there in the daybook. So when you come into gateway of tally and you go into the daybook, then in that particular case there would be various options like this change view, basis of value, and all those things. When you go to basis of value, it provides you with the details that show reports for which particular transaction, that is altered and non-altered all transactions, or you just want to view the altered transaction. Now when you would click on the just view the altered vouchers, then in that particular case you would be able to view only the transactions that are been amended. Even the deleted transactions would be available in tally. So I would even show you with the fact that how deleted transactions would be available and all those things. So it is not like that, that you need to go into every voucher and then check individually. You can just go into the daybook. Post going into the daybook, you would go into the basis of value section, and from that basis of value section, you would be able to have the report for the altered transactions only. If you want to see all vouchers, you can select all vouchers, altered vouchers, and non-altered vouchers. So from audit perspective, you could just directly select this particular option and even set this particular option to yes, that is include the deleted vouchers, so that you would be able to know the fact that which all transactions have been deleted. So there was one more question, that how to check that which all transactions have been deleted. So this particular options provide the fact. I would even delete one particular voucher for your clarity, so that you have a clear idea for the same. So now see, I entered the 10,000. Now let's say I am updating the same to 15,000 rupees. So now see, when I would open the trail of the same, I would have three particular logs. The original that was created, that was with an amount of 5,000. There is no particular previous data in this, so version is not available. And here this is version 1. When I would go to version 2, then it shows me with the difference that what was the original amount and what has been amended. So from 5,000 it has been made to 10,000 by this particular user on this time and this date. Then this is the version 3, that from 10,000 I amended the same to 15,000. So this is at 317 I entered the same for 10,000, and at 322 on 6 June with the same user I amended the amount to 15,000. So it highlights the same, that from 10,000 it was updated to 15,000, and that is the change that has been done in this particular entry. So that would be clearly edible, or that would be clearly visible. Now discussing about the deletion of the transaction. Let's say I am deleting this particular transaction. Okay, so I'm just selecting the same and I am deleting the same. So it was entered on 31st March 2024, correct? Now I deleted the same. Now the data of the same is not at all available in the tally, and neither it is available in the ledger. When we look into the same, there is no transaction that has been there on 31st March 2024. Now, how to view the trail of the same, that the same has been deleted? So we can again go to daybook. We can go to basis of value. Here we can set altered vouchers. And I'm just setting this option to yes, include deleted transactions. So now see, when I set the same all the transaction to yes, it would show me with the trail of altered and unaltered transactions also. And there is one more question, that is how to activate edit log. Now see, when discussing about the edit log transaction in Tally, so whenever you would have installed the Tally Prime edit log would be there by default. You are not supposed to activate or deactivate the same. So for companies, when you discuss considering the companies law, companies act amendment, it is mandatory to have the company's data in the edit log itself. When discussing about the partnership firm or the proprietorship firm, just for the purpose of internal control, you could have the details like, let's say, for internal control, you could just set the Tally Prime version, and in Tally Prime version, when you are enabling the there, you would have an option from the company master data itself. So when you go to company master, there would be an option available here, is that do you want to enable edit log or not. If you set the same to yes, then in that case it would be available. If you set the same to no, it won't be available. However, in case of companies, it is mandatory to have Tally Prime edit log only, because for companies, the way the rules have been notified in the Companies Act, it has been mentioned that user should not be in a position to amend the edit log trail. So that should be available, and user should not be able to, I would say, change the edit log trail or do any alteration with the same. So for all the companies, it is mandatory to go with Tally Prime edit log only. And for the proprietorship or partnership firm, you can go with just Tally Prime version. And if you want to enable edit log, then you could just go to alter, and there would be an option here available for do you want to enable the edit log trail. So this is basically a synopsis regarding the edit log. So now let's say even for this particular transaction, it is of 2 lakh 50. I'm just amending the same to 3 lakhs. Now for this particular ledger, I want to see the altered transactions. Then in that particular case, see, overall ledger had 2 entries, but I just want to see the altered transaction. Then I could just go to the basis of value section. Here I would select the altered transaction. Then in that particular case, it would just show me with the altered transactions only. So this one is the altered transactions. And if I want to view the trail of the same, then that would be available through this. That is from 2 lakh 50, I amended the same to 3 lakh rupees. So this is regarding the Tally Prime edit log. If you have any particular questions with regards to the same, you could ask me. And this is not only available only for the transactions, it is even available for the masters also. So let's say when going for any alteration of masters. So now see, there is a group for this Akshay industry, it is in sundry debtors. Now I'm grouping the same in sundry creditors. Once I save the same, for this also the edit log transaction would be available. That is, previously it was sundry debtors and now the same has been changed to sundry creditors. So this is even useful from the perspective of audit, that which all masters, in which all masters the GST has been changed, or the statutory compliance, or any other things like TDS, PAN number, GST number, or anything would have been changed in any particular master, or be it be opening balance or anything. Then for that you would be able to track the same directly from here itself. So this is, I would say, one of the good features that has been provided by Tally as of now. And if we use the same, then it would be really useful from the perspective of audit. Now, just say I'm just entering one of the transactions. . This is 5,000. Now I'm changing the ledger of the same. I am doing it to Karuna Technologies. Now for this particular transaction, currently checking the audit trail, it is available that I change the ledger of the party. Okay. I'm just opening one demo data for 24-25. So as to provide you with a brief as to the alteration history of every transactions. Now see, these all transactions, this is just the details of the altered transactions. So when you look into the same, the total turns out to be 150 plus. And when you look into the altered transactions, all vouchers, then it turns out to be 2000 plus. So when you want to view the trail of the same, it would be directly available through here. And I would just log in the same through the master admin. So even the user rights have an impact on the same. Let's say now I'm just removing some of the entries. Currently it's all vouchers. And this is a trail of the alter vouchers. Now see, if any of the transaction I would have cancelled the same, then in that particular case it would even show me with the trail of the cancellation that this was entered by this particular user, this has been changed, and at the end it has been cancelled. So even the cancel transaction trail would be available here. So this was more or less regarding the edit log trail that has been provided here. Now discussing about something that is related to auto login. Now what is auto login in Tally? So now let's say, being a chartered accountant, if you are working for multiple companies, so if you are doing an accounting, or if your staff is doing an accounting for multiple companies, and see, the user ID and password for you is one and the same. So let's say, being a CA, it is just admin or any particular thing. Then in that particular case, what you could do is you could just go into these F1 features. There are option for settings. There is an option for startup. There is an option provided here is that is for enable auto login for companies with the same credentials. So now let's say, if you have same credentials for any particular company, then you can set this option to yes. So that what happens, let's say there are two companies, ABC Limited and XYZ Limited. If both the companies have same the user ID password, that is admin, then in that particular case, while shifting from one company to another company, you are not supposed to do login again and again. So this is one of the additional options that Tally has provided as of now. That is the auto login for companies with the same credentials. So let's say in this particular case itself, there is a company named ABC Private Limited. Now, if the user ID and password for the same was admin, and I am just logging in the same with admin, and post that I am opening any other company, that is this national enterprise, then in that particular case, it won't ask me again for the user ID and the password for the national enterprise here. It would just directly open that particular company. So this is useful for the accountants doing accounting of multiple companies. Let's say if you have the same user ID and password, then in that particular case, you would be able to do the data entry and scroll through each particular company without entering the user ID and password every time. So this is again one of the good features that has been provided in Tally, in the updated Tally, I would rather say that. So if there are any particular questions with regards to even the auto login, then also you would just do let me know. Moving forward, that is regarding the dashboard feature that has been provided in Tally. Now, see, Tally previously doesn't have this particular feature. This has been provided from Tally Prime 4.0. Now, what is this dashboard and what is the relevance of the same? Now, see, many a times management wants the daily results, like what is the total revenue for the day, what is the total cash and bank balance for the day, what are the ratio analysis for the day, what is the receivable, what is the payable for the same. So if they want the same in a single particular screen, then in that particular case, they can access the same through the dashboard. Now going to the dashboard. So let's say this, just a minute. Just let me open the Tally once again. Now, when going to dashboard, now see this is specifically for financial year 24-25. This is the data from April to June. So April to June, now it shows with the sales trend, purchase trend, cash inflow, cash outflow, receivable, payable, accounting ratios, assets liability ratio, trading details, cash and bank balance, top ledgers, top group ledgers means top 5 receivables, top 5 payables. So if management wants to access the same from a single screen, that would be available through this particular report. Now, period also, if you want to update the period for all the tiles, then that is from, let's say, 31st till you want to view the same till 31st May 2024. Then for all of the report, the date would be updated to 31st May 2024. Now, let's say apart from that, if you want to view the same for any particular, I would say, report only for any particular tiles only, then let's say these are the trading details. So now for this report, if you want to have the date till, let's say, April only. So in that particular case, for all other, it would be till 31st May 2024. And for the month of April, for this particular ledger, it would be for the month of April only. Now, see, there are various options that have been provided, that if you want to add any particular tiles, or if you want to remove any particular tiles, or if you want to even configure the same through graphs, or through the data analytics or anything, then you would be able to do it directly from here. So there are various options. Now let's say going to this particular view, that is the trading details. Now I'm just pressing this option that is regarding the expand the tiles. So once I press the same, it would provide me with the details of only this particular tile. Now if I want to configure the same, that name of the tile, that is trading detail, gross profit and net profit margins, show the sales amount for group summary, show the sales amount of sales register. So if I want to enable or disable this particular option, I would be in a position to do the same directly from here. So do I want the direct incomes, indirect income, indirect expenses? So this is something that I could just configure the same directly from here. Now there is even an option that is regarding the display. So if I want the data display only, or I want a data plus graphical display. So if I set the same to yes, do I need a bar chart or a line chart? That you could select it from your end. Do I need a percentage or not? So let's say currently I'm doing the same, setting the same to yes. Then in that particular case, it would provide me with a detail. And apart from that, it would even provide me with all the details of the expenses and the profits and the revenue terms and each of the thing. And even if you want to add any particular tiles in this particular tab in the dashboard option, then you could select this option, that is add tiles. So if I want top sales order outstanding, top purchase order outstanding, or cash inflow outflow, GST pending actions, or any particular thing, then I would be able to have it directly from this particular report only. So let's say now I'm just selecting a ledger trend. So let's say I'm just selecting any of the ledger here. So in that particular case, for that particular ledger, it would show me with the chart and the details of the same. That what has been the transaction in the month of April, May, June, July, or whatever it's so it is. So this is, I would say, one of the very good feature that has been provided from the perspective of the management. And one of the best feature that has been available here is that you could drill down for the same to the transaction level. So let's say now see this is an asset liabilities report. So when you are going to current assets, so you could directly just go to drill down of that particular, and the current asset tabs would be displayed there. Whatever are the current assets here, the stock that is closing stock, or deposits or loans and advances, or debtors or cash in and balance with government of authorities, refunds receivable. So now this is something which I would say is very good feature considering the MIS perspective. And if you want to save the view of any particular tiles that you would have configured, you could even save the same, so that next time whenever you are opening the same, it would open with this particular dashboard itself. So you are not supposed to add the tiles every time or just change the same or update the same. Now see, if I'm just going for exit of the same, then it would show that this will close the report without retaining the configuration and the changes you have done. So do you want to quit without saving it? If I set the same to no, I can just, I would say save the same. So this is one of the very good feature that is regarding the save view. We would even discuss the same further. That what is the name of this particular report? That is dashboard my view. Then apart from that, this is the default view. If I want to save the same as default view, I can set the same to yes. If I want to have any additional configuration, then for that also I could set the same to yes. And if I want it for a specific period also, then even that would be available. Now let's say I have exited that particular report where this particular saved reports are saved. So when I'm going to this go to option, see the dashboard report that I have saved, that would be available in the saved views. So what are the saved views? So whatever reports I would have saved, that would be displayed here. So let's say when I click on the same, directly that particular dashboard that I have saved the same, that would be available here. So I could just check any of the same. I could just click on the same and drill down till the transaction level. So this is something that's really useful for the management if we consider. Now, what is the logic of the saved view report? So we discussed that in Tally there is a saved view report. So what's the logic of the same? How it could be useful? Now, let's say when doing an audit, you are doing audit of multiple entities. So in that particular case, see there is a transaction for disallowance of cash payment exceeding 10,000 rupees. Now let's say you have 100 of clients. For those 100 of clients, let's say if you want to check the same, every time you are supposed to go to the daybook, you are supposed to filter the same, that cash payment exceeding rupees 10,000. So now every time providing this filter, it would feel a bit cumbersome, I would say. Let's say I'm providing a filter here, that voucher having ledger amount greater than 10,000. Here actually it should be voucher having payment amounts greater than 10,000. So in that particular case, all the transactions which have the amount greater than 10,000 would be displayed here. Now let's say you have hundreds of clients and you want to check the disallowance under the Income Tax Act. Then in that particular case, you are not supposed to do the same individually for each of the backup. You could just save this particular view that whatever transactions are there, whichever amounts are there which are greater than 10,000, and you could just provide a saved view for the same, so that only the transactions which exceeds 10,000 would be displayed here. So now let's say I'm just I would say save any particular transaction for any particular ledger, and we would go through the same, that how that particular report would be displayed in Tally. It would just take a bit of time to process the same. So let's say this is the transaction. Now I want the details of the transaction which exceeds, let's say, any particular amount. So these are the transactions which are greater than 5 lakh. So I entered this transaction. These are the transactions which are greater than 50 lakh amount. So which are the transactions? Now, if I want to view the same, I could just do the save view report for the same transactions with amount greater than 50 lakhs for this particular ledger. So do I want to save the default view? So if I set the same to yes, then by default this filter would apply for each of the transaction. And if I set the same to you no, then in that particular case, whenever I would open this particular ledger, then it would provide me with the default view. So let us check the same now how it works. Now see, I am again opening this particular ledger. So it provided me with details of all the transactions because that was not set to default view. Now, in case I want to view that particular report, the transactions with amount exceeding 50 lakhs for this particular ledger. So now let's say I'm selecting this ledger only. Then this is the transaction amount of 1 CR for the period from May to June. Then this is the transaction which has an amount exceeding rupees 50 lakhs. So this is really useful from the perspective of audit when discussing about the disallowances or the income tax or any particular thing. So these are one of the three basic features that I discussed. That is, one is regarding the audit trail, the edit log transactions that has been available here. The other one is regarding the saved view reports that has been provided. And the third one, that is regarding the auto login that has been provided. Any questions till now for any of these topics that we discussed currently? If anyone has any questions, they can just do let me know. And if there are no questions, then we would proceed further. Okay, so if I would say if there are no particular questions further, then I would say we would proceed further. Now, apart from saved view that we discussed, there are some features that has been relevant to the Excel import in Tally. So as we discussed previously, seen there is an option here that is regarding the import of transaction. So previously, the details that were available for import that was just regarding the master import through or the transaction import that is through XML or that is through Excel. Now, when discussing about this thing, they have even provided a feature whereby we would be able to import not only through XML but even through Excel. So how and in what formats? Now that is one of the questions that would be there. So now discussing about the formats of the same. So this is just one of the template, I would say. This is regarding the master template that has been available. So now see, these are the details that has been there. This is the default template that is available. That name, group of the ledger, ledger opening balance, debit credit, bill, bill name, bill amount, bill debit credit, address date, country pin code. This is regarding the stock item master. That for stock items I could mention name, group name, units, opening balance, opening rate, opening rate per quantity, opening balance value. Now, even if I want to import other things also, that also I could just mention here and import the same. Then these are the stock groups. These are the units of measure. These are the groups, categories, stock category, cost centers, locations, go downs, everything. Now, how we would be in a position to import the same? So let's say, whenever we are selecting the Excel, now we could provide with a path for the same. So this is the path. I could just provide with the link of the same here. That is specify path. I can just select this particular Excel. If I want to Excel, import this particular Excel. Now, these are the worksheets available in the Excel that are the ledgers, group, stock category, stock cost center, stock item, stock group. So if I want to import the ledgers, do I want to import the default template or do I want to create the template or there are any other template or sample files? Now see, there are even options available. You could create your own template. So the way you are mentioning in your Excel, so row number one, column 1, 2, 3, 4, in that particular manner, you could have your own template and you would be even be in a position to import the same. So if you select on the same, what are the other templates? Then in that particular case, now see Tally currently even have provided with a facility. When you select this particular option that is regarding the other templates, see many of the businessmen now in the current scenario, they are doing the B2B and B2C transactions directly. So when let's say someone is transacting through Amazon or the BG ERP, Mark ERP, Odoo, QuickBooks, Sage or Shopify, now if they have transactions in that particular software, then the format in which that particular software provides the data, even that could be imported directly in Tally. So now Tally has even provided with a facility whereby even if you have done any of the sales through Amazon or any particular app, the templates would be available directly, through which you would be in a position to import the same directly. Currently I'm just selecting the default template. Let's say I'm selecting the ledgers. So what I want the behavior of the opening balance. So let's say I would have mentioned any other opening with the in the Excel sheet. So do I want to combine the opening balance or I want to ignore the duplicates or I want to modify with the new data? So that is something that you would just select it from here. I would just say that modify with new data. I'm just selecting as of now. I want to preview import summary, then that is yes. And this is the backup path. So once I set the same to yes, now see it provides me with the details that the particulars of the transaction to be imported. So in the group of sundry debtors, there are 5 ledgers which are to be imported. In the group of fixed assets, there are 3 ledgers. In sundry creditors, there are 3 ledgers. Direct expense, in sundry creditors, 5 ledgers, direct expense 3, indirect expense 6. And I would be in a position to directly import the same in the Tally. So once I click the same to yes, it would be directly imported in the Tally. See now it shows that import successfully completed successfully. So now see previously what was the scenario that you were not in a position to import the data directly from the Tally, but through this particular feature, Now through any particular Excel, you would be in a position to import the same directly in Tally. And even if you have any of the data that has been available through Amazon or Flipkart or anything, then that also you could do it directly from here. And if you want to create your own template, then even that is possible through this. When you are selecting Excel, if you want to have a specific path, or you have created any Excel, you could just directly select the same. Or if you want to create the own template, then for that also, let's say I'm just providing that I want an template for accounting voucher, inventory voucher, order voucher, or payroll. So let's say I selected the accounting voucher. Now in this particular accounting voucher, what I want, that is basically the name of initially name of voucher type, ledger type. So let's say this is the my first field, name. Then this is my second field, voucher number. Uh, on voucher number based on the specified in column A. This is my third field, reference number. So based on the same, I would be in a position to have this template directly in Tally. And if there are anything missing, then see Tally currently by default would let me know. Now see here it mentioned that voucher type is missing because that is one of the mandatory field that is there. So I could just select the same. Now it is showing that ledger name is missing. So all the fields that are there, if till the time for any particular transaction, if the default fields are not mentioned, then it would provide me with a pop-up, and I would be in a position that I would be able to export the template directly from here also and create the template. So anything that would be possible. There's a question that where can we get this template? See, templates you could create it on your own, or apart from that there are default Tally templates also which could be directly exported through this. So there is nothing specific. It is something that the way you want, you would be in a position to have the same. Now the way you imported the transaction, if you are importing the masters or you want to import the transaction, both the things would be available from here. That you want masters or you want transactions. So this is, I would say, one of the really good feature from the perspective of accounting, or if you have any details which has been available from any other software and you want to import the same in Tally, then in that particular case, you would be in a position to directly have the same imported into a Tally. So this is something regarding the Excel import. That is one of the very useful feature that Tally has provided as of now. Now this is the new feature that is available only in Tally Prime 4.2. It is not available in the previous release. And see, there is one option here that is regarding the sample Excel files. So now let's say when I want to import the same, I'm currently just exporting the same. I would just configure my path. So let's say in the dashboard data folder, I just want to export the same. Now see, when I exported the same, it would provide me with this particular template. So these are the default templates that we discussed that are available in Tally. Now, if I want to add anything or update anything, then I could even create my own template also. So it is up to you that whether you want to have the default template or you want to have the other template. And they have even provided with a user manual, that is Tally voucher run. So which fields are mandatory, which fields are not mandatory, they have provided with all the details for the understanding of the users. So once you just export this particular, I would say, template, you would be in a position to know that which fields are mandatory, which you mandatorily are required to enter the same, post that only import would happen. And they have even provided with a user manual. So there is no asset dependency with anyone, and you could just directly export the same from your end and you could just check the same. So I would say that this is really one of the very good feature that Tally has provided as of now, and is useful in day-to-day accounting or day-to-day activities. So let's say maybe you are doing any foreign accounting also, or outsourcing activities also in Tally. You have the data from any other software. or let's say there is any POS from which you want to import the data in Tally, then in that particular case, this is one of the really good feature that has been useful, which has been bought into in from Tally Prime 4.0. So for this, you could import the same for masters as well as transactions. So if any master also you want to import the same, then the sample file would be available for the masters also. We would even look into the same. Now see, that was the transaction file. Now this is the master file. That is the name, group name, ledger opening balance, whether it is a debit or credit transaction, bill date, bill name, bill amount is debit or credit. So these are the bill wise details in the masters: address, state, country, pin code. If you want to add anything in this also, then you would be in a position to add the same. So these I would say are one of the really good features that Tally has provided in 4.0. So it is basically when if you are using Tally, use the upgraded version to avail all the features of the Tally. If you have any questions with regards to the same, you can just do let me know. Now, these were some of the features. Now, apart from that, import. When you look into this particular transaction, there is import of master transaction. There is even import of bank details. So what is there? Input of bank details basically provides for input of the bank statement. So now see, Tally even has feature that if you want to import any of your banking transactions in Tally, you would be able to directly import the same. So the Excel file that is available from the banking portal, that particular Excel file, you would be able to import the same directly in Tally through this. So let's say if you provide any particular path here, if you want to import this, let's say this is the bank statement that has been imported, that has been downloaded from the bank's portal, and if you want to import the same in Tally, then in that particular case this would be imported, and you would be just supposed to select the ledger's entry, ledger name, and the transactions would be done by itself. So I would just let's say just for example, so let's say this is on HDFC cash credit account. Okay, now let's say there is an option that has been provided here. When you go in this particular option, there is an option for do you want to enable auto reconciliation. Now this particular option that is there, it needs to be set to yes. Once it is set to yes, then that particular case you would be provided with an option as to the reconciliation. So what happens that let's say if you would have issued any checks, and in that particular case the checks have been check numbers are provided even in the bank statement, then it would reconcile by itself that which checks were issued on which particular date and the reconciliation of the same. So now this is again one of the really good feature that you are not supposed to do even the data entry of the transactions and all those things which have been done through net payment manually. You could just directly import the same in Tally. So once you set the same to yes, when you open this particular ledger, there would be an option available here that is reconcile. Now, when you go to the reconcile, it would provide with the all the entire reconciliation. Now, this is just for example. Currently, as per company's book, it is 17.31 CR. Amounts not reflected in banks, that is 16.11 and 17.51. So net balance as per bank is 15.91. Now, once you import the same, this would be based on the actual bank statement that is available here, and you would even be in a position to reconcile the same entirely. So what you can do is once you select the reconcile, you could just import the bank statement, and through that all the entries would be available here. And once you press Alt C to this particular entries, you would be able to do the data entry also directly. So there is no requirement to do data entry manually in this. There's a question that please give us an example of import voucher entry. So let's say when discussing about the voucher entry import. So when going in this particular tab, that is regarding the import of import. So whenever you want to do the voucher import, then you need to go in transaction. Now in transaction, you need to select a specific file. Currently, I just don't have any specific file for the transaction. Still, I would just try to do one thing. I would just have a list of the same if possible. Now see, this is the default template that we have exported. The accounting vouchers and the accounting masters. Now let's say here if you are mentioning that this is the date of the transaction. This is the voucher type. Now see, one thing you need to make sure is the voucher type names and all those things that should be one and the same as it is there in the tally. So now let's see if this particular voucher type is not at all there in the tally, then it won't be imported. Then here you need to mention the voucher number, the buyer's and the supplier's address, PIN code, the ledger name, ledger amount, and debit credit item name, billed quantity, and rate and per unit. And if there is any change, whether it is an accounting voucher or inventory voucher, that you could mention it here. So once you fill up the data for the same, you could just go into this particular tab, import transactions, select the Excel, provide the path of that particular Excel sheet, select that particular Excel sheet, that is now this one, that is the account. Select the default template that is there. Do you want to import summary, backup? If you set the same, then in that particular case even the transactions would be imported. There is one more question that while importing more than one entry, more than one voucher entry, it shows error, that is amount mismatch. Now see why it shows the error, that is the amount mismatch. That is because of the see, one particular reason would be, let's say there are particular transactions in which there are n number of stock items. So let's say for this particular template only, if we discuss for the same, so there would be various stock items that would be available here. So in that particular case, even for the same voucher number, you need to mention the ledger amounts and the item name separately. So let's say here it is item A, item B, item C. You need to mention the amount of the same, the item rate, rate per unit, and the item amount. So once you mention the same, then all these things would be imported in a single amount. However, if the same has not been done and all these details, that is voucher date, voucher type, voucher number, this would be one and the same. So if it has not been done in this particular manner, then in that case it would show with a mismatch and it would show with an error for the same. So it is mandatory that when you have multiple stock items or multiple transactions, so how it would happen is, just for example, I would show it would be 001, voucher number would be 001. Again, it is one and the same. Now, when there is a next transaction, then in that particular case, let's say it is on 0204 2024. Here voucher number needs to be number 2. So if this has not been done in this particular manner, so see, now when you consider these three transactions that are one and the same, these three transactions are one and the same. Only thing is that there are three items in the same transactions, so you just need to mention the same separately. So that is something which needs to be taken care of while importing the transaction, that even though there is just one single invoice for the same, if there are multiple items you need to mention the same separately, then in that particular case only it would be imported properly. Hope the same is clear. So this is something that needs to be taken care of. Now see, this was something that I even discussed regarding the Amazon voucher. So the Amazon import. So see, when you click on the create or modify voucher, there's templates, then in that particular case it would just provide you with a drill down as to the tally portal, which provides you with the entire summary that how the transactions could be imported in what particular manner, and it shows you with the details as to the how the Amazon templates are available, and from that you would be in a position to directly download the same. So let's say if you are going here for create templates or sample files, when you click on the same, then these are the options that are being available. So let's say if you want to have the Amazon B2B, so this is the default Amazon templates in which Amazon provides the Excel file. So that template is by default provided by Tally, and Tally has even provided with the TSF file for the same. So this is something which you need to load prior to this TSF file. You need to load the same prior to importing. Now see, this is a salary, GST and invoice number, invoice date, transaction type, order ID, shipment number, shipment date. So this template is readily available, through which once the data has been there in Tally, you would be in a position to directly fill up the same in Tally. So this is again one of the very good integration that Tally has provided with the this Amazon and the other portals. Hope till now it is clear, and if there are any particular questions, you can just ask me in the chat box. Then so see, if there are no further, I would say we can proceed further. Now discussing further, that is regarding the go to and the switch to option in Tally. So see, when you there are two options, that is regarding go to and switch to. When you press alter, it would be go to. When you press control, it would be switch to. Let's say currently I am in any particular ledger in Tally. Uh, let's say there are no particular transactions in this particular ledger. Okay. Now, if I want to go to any other report, let's say I want to go to balance sheet, I could just select this from go to menu. So even if I am in this particular ledger, I could just directly drill down to balance sheet directly from there. So the thing is that I'm not supposed to go to again to gateway of Tally and then go to balance sheet and then open the balance sheet. From that particular report itself, I would be in a position to go to this balance sheet report. Now, when I press escape, then again I am in that particular ledger itself. Now this is something that is the go-to feature. If I want to go to any particular report, then I could go it directly from Tally. Then what is switch to report? Let's say in the same scenario, I am pressing alt G for switch to. Now again I am pressing switch to in this. Then again I am at balance sheet. Okay, I would be in a position to drill down the details and all those things. But when I press escape, I am not into the ledger account of that particular party. Rather, I am into the ledger account, into the screen of account books. So what is the basic difference between both of the same? In the go to tab, it you can just go to any particular, I would say any particular ledger or any particular report directly from the report that you would have opened. However, into the switch to tab, once you switch to that report, again when coming back, you are not to that particular report. Rather, you are back to gateway of Tally or any other screen. So that is the basic difference between the same. Now, see, this was something that was more or less regarding the, I would say, something on the audit features and the controls and the other stuff. Now, apart from that, also there are many other features. If you discuss, that is regarding the audit. Audit we would basically take into tomorrow. How audit could be done directly from Tally itself. There are very good features which are regarding the analysis and verification, the data analysis, whereby you could do the or entire audit directly from the Tally, user wise, marking the transaction, putting your comments, so that the audit documentation would be available from the Tally directly. Apart from that, even you could do the voucher verification. So let's say, see, many a times for large entities it is not practically possible or on your part to have the verification of the vouchers directly. For each of the vouchers you could just check each of the vouchers. So what you would do is you would have a sample for the same. So even if in case you want any of the samples, then for that sample selection also, it provides you with an option that you want to select the sample. Then in that particular case you could be in a position to select the samples, and based on that particular samples, you would be in a position to verify the vouchers. So these are really good features that has been provided. Now, if I want to uh, just go to have any particular samples or anything for this particular report, I would be able to have the same. This we would entirely be taking it tomorrow, the data analysis and verification process. Now, apart from that, also there are various reports like negative stock, negative ledgers, which are directly readily available from Tally. So when you look into the same, so let's say if there is any debtors which has a credit balance or any creditors which has a debit balance. So all those details would be available directly from here, and you could just export the same and ask the details of the same to the management that why there are negative ledgers of this particular. Is there any genuine advance which has been provided, or it is something like that which has not yet been booked, or what is the reason? So these are one of the really good features that has been helpful from the audit perspective. Similarly, it is negative stock. If any stock value is negative, you could just directly ask the management that why the stock has been negative. Uh, is it because proper accounting has not been done, or what is the reason? You could just directly verify the same from here. Now, apart from that, I don't know whether you are all aware of the fact or not. There is even the payroll reports that has been provided in Tally. So entire payroll also you could even manage in Tally, whereby the overall, I would say that computation of income, TDS deduction, that would happen through Tally itself. So that is again one of the really good feature. And if you have any of your IT clients, then for that IT clients, it is really very useful to have the payroll reports in Tally. I would just provide you even the brief of the reports of payroll that are available as of now. So now see, I've done certain data entry for payroll. I've just configured the same entirely. I would just show you a brief of the same, that how the data entry is made and what all things have been done. Now, when you go to payroll master, employee category, employee group, pay head selection. Now see, there are various allowances like car allowance, children allowance, hostel. Then these are the EDLI charges, employee EPS, employee contribution to EPF. All those things have been configured here. So on what amount EPF has to be calculated, how calculated, that I have entirely done it here for the configuration of payroll. Now there are reports available here. Display, statutory reports, payroll reports. In that there is income tax, there is computation income. So let's say for this particular employee, now if I want to look the same, that for the current year, what is the total TDS that has been deductible? So his income is, let's say, 16.94. So this is based on the projections for the current year. That projected is this much based on his salary. This is the earnings that are uniform allowance, the exemption for the same. This is the standard deduction of 50,000. This is the amount of investment. So you could even provide with the declared and the proof value here, that what are the declared value and the proof value. And based on the same, TDS would be deducted automatically. So it provides that the total income, tax on total income is 3,06,000. And if you calculate the same per month, then per month 25,000 is to be deducted. So through this, payroll will be automatically calculated. So that is, I would say, this is one of the really good feature that has been available here. So I would just say that if you want, I would even share you with this particular demo data for your understanding that how each of the pay heads has been configured, so that if you have any of the IT clients who have a large number of employees, then TDS calculation and deduction is one of the tedious task if we consider. If you want, I could just provide you with the same, so that you could even implement the same in your clients. That would be really useful for you. Further, there is a question that please list all the basic things to do or enable disable before starting the accounting or the new company with proper GST item wise forex transaction, etc., especially the ledger features to enable or disable. I would just do one thing currently, considering the shortage of time. I would just try to brief you on the same, that what all things are to be taken care of at the company level, at the master level, at the transaction level. And see, these are just the details of this is the report regarding the MSME reports. So MSME also, that now, as we all know, it has the disallowance under section 43B. So if we have updated the same in the party master itself, then it would be really useful to get the details of the same directly from here. This also we would discuss tomorrow. So regarding the question that what all things are to be enabled or disabled, so I would just like to brief you on the same currently as of now. That, see, whenever you would create any company, this is the first basic screen that would be available here. Okay, so this is the demo payroll company. So now, see, these are the basic details, that is name, address, and all those things. Apart from this, what is mandatory now? From when the financial year is beginning, from when the books are beginning. Now, this is something that is really mandatory to mention, that your financial year now, see, for let's say for US companies or any of the internet companies which are outside India, they generally have the accounting period from Jan to December. So in that particular case, you could just mention that the financial year begins from Jan to begin December, or like that. And if any company is incorporated from between, so let's say in the month of June or July it is incorporated, then you could just mention that books beginning from that particular date. Apart from that, control user access company. Now this is mandatory from the perspective of control or the user rights. So if you have any of the admin ID password, then admin ID you could just provide it here. And apart from that, you could even provide the user rights from the company creation screen further, that we would discuss further. So it is mandatory that you set the same to yes, control user access to company data. There is one more option, that is enable audit trail, tally audit features. Now see, this is one of the really useful features. If the same is set to no, you won't be having any particular reports regarding the audit from tally. I would just show you with this one, that what is the relevance of user access control and the audit trail features. And disallow opening educational mode. So if you don't have any, if anyone don't have license, then they won't be in a position to open this particular backup. Now see, we discussed regarding the tally audit features. When you go to this particular option, display statement of accounts, there is an option for tally audit. What is this tally audit? So let's say there is this user, Mr. Admin, for let's say you have a big company. See here, tally audit as of now is not enabled. I would just do one thing. I would just alter the same. So see, these all users that has been there. Okay. Now, if you want to daily review their accounting, that what all entries they have done and whether the same are correct or not. So let's say this has been the entries that has been done. Now these three transactions, let's say this has been entered by Mr. Arun. Now I want to verify. Now let's say it is correct. So what I can do is I could just select the same. I could just accept the same, that this is the correct entry. Let's say these both are also correct. I could just accept the same, accept selected. So now what would happen, that it would go from my this particular dashboard. So this is one of the really good feature for maker checker in Tally, if you consider. Now once the all the entries have been done, you could just select the same, whether the same is correct or not. If you want to do any modification also, then also that would be possible. And now after approval also, if any modification has been done in this particular entry, it would show you it in the alter tab. So this is one of the really good feature that is available for the routine data entry verification and approval. If you want to have an approval for the routine data entry, then this particular feature of Tally Audit is very useful. You could similarly approve the new masters that has been created, users that have been created, and the voucher types that has been created, that how many entries are there in which all voucher types. So you could go either with the voucher types or you could go with the users. So this tally audit feature, that is one of the really useful feature. So it would be available only once this particular option, that is enable tally audit feature, has been set to yes, and there are the security controls which has been provided. There is a question that this is add-on or inbuilt feature. This is inbuilt feature only which tally has provided. So now see, when you discuss on this particular feature, this is really useful for internal controls. So let's say today I have just approved all the transactions. So my this screen will show me 0 entries currently. Now, post that, when any of the user is entering any of the transaction, then let's say 5 transactions are entered, then in that particular case 5 transactions would be displayed here which are pending for my approval. So if I want to have a maker checker concept in tally, then through this particular feature I would be in a position to have it. So see, this is the one of the transaction that is for debit note sales. Now let's say I have accepted the same, correct? Now currently the debit note sales shows as 0, correct? This is for debit note purchase. Now let's say I'm going to this vouchers. This was the debit note sales. I have already approved the same. Now let's say I'm doing any of the modification in this particular entry, post approval. Now see what happened, that in this particular transaction it will itself, it shows that one new transaction that has been there is altered. I could just click on the same and I could just because this transaction, it shows even with the trail to me that it was entered by Vaibhav, it was altered by master admin on 6 June 24. So if you want to have an approval mechanism for this is one of the really good feature that has been provided by default by Tally, that is regarding the Tally audit, and this is really useful for the internal control perspective also. So if company want to have the internal control in Tally, then through this they would be in a position to have it. So the things that we discussed, that is what is the relevance of this feature. So it is mandatory that you set this option to yes, then only that would be available. Now apart from that, what all things needs to be taken care of? This is the edit log feature that has been there. So it shows that when the edit log has been initiated at what time, at what for which particular company. So this is something that I migrated from old Tally version to new. So it is showing that company data migrated from Tally Prime. It was done by username Kunal and dated 6 June 2024 and on 2/12. So this is the edit log trail that is available. So even which data has been migrated on what date, even that is disclosed. Now username and password, through here you could just create and change the username and password in Tally. So for this company, so these are the users that has been created. So what all rights do they have? Browser access. Browser access is something that they would be able to access the Tally online also. This would be shown in the tomorrow's session. So they would be in a position to have access of the Tally online also directly. So if you are sitting remotely and you want to view the Tally of any particular client, you would be in a position to view the same if you have a valid .NET ID and you have a valid DSS for Tally. So various user rights could be done through here, which is mandatory at the time of company creation. These are the user roles. So what roles you want to provide the same. So let's say these are, I want to just provide with the payment transactions rights to this particular. So these are the following facilities that has been available. Only these all vouchers, he would be in a position to add or alter or create or delete these all transactions. So through this particular option, I would be in a position to provide the user rights to every of the user. And here we can create the user ID and password. This is the password policy. Let's say if you want the password of every user to expire every 40 days or 50 days for internal control, you could even define the password policy. If you want to activate the same, you could activate it from here. What is the minimum length, maximum length, password expires after how many days, that you could define it here. And these are the remote access features. So if you want to access the same remotely. This would be discussed in tomorrow's session. What is the remote access in Tally and how it would be useful. So if you want to access the same, this would be available. So this is some of the basic things that is to be taken care of at the time of company creation. That is, you need to enable the audit feature. Then you need to set the specific user roles and user rights and provide user ID passwords, so that you would be in a position to know that which user has done which entry at what time and what all changes has been done and by which particular user. So this is even useful from audit trail. There is a question that, sir, these features are not in Tally 4.1. No, it is not like that. See, I am using Tally 4.1 only. These features are there in Tally 4.1. It is not like that it has not been there in 4.1. Only point is you need to enable the same. If the same has not been enabled, then you won't be in a position to use the same. So for Tally audit, if you want to use the same, make sure that this option is set to yes, enable Tally audit features. If it is set to yes, then in that particular case, you would be able to use the same. So one thing that we discussed, that was regarding the company creation, the users, password, user roles, and all those things. Now there are various other features also, that is Tally Vault. Now see, Tally Vault password, once you forgot Tally Vault password, no one, even Tally also won't be in a position to, I would say, decrypt your data or provide you with the same. So it is mandatory, if you have Tally Vault password, then you remember the same, or you just have a record of the same. Else you can just use the basic security features. So this was the first step for company creation, that you could just select it from here. Second step is regarding the setup configuration. That is, which all options you need to set the same to yes. So that is regarding the, do you want to have the bill wise detail? Now you see, bill wise detail, if we discuss today, it is mandatory for the credit period, whether that particular client is paying well within time or not, whether you want to check the due to MSMEs, whether the due to MSMEs are paid within the time or not. Then for all those things, this bill to bill feature is very useful. Second is the cost centers. So if you have various segments in business, so various different types of business or businesses operating through different locations, and you want the profitability of each particular location separately, then you could set that this option to yes. Third one is the interest calculation. So based on your requirement, you could set this option to yes or no. These are the useful feature. There is an option for, sir, from where to enable audit features, please repeat, I missed. So to enable audit features, you just need to go to this particular screen, that is the alter K, that is for the company. You need to go to alter. There is an option here is enable Tally audit features. You need to set the same to yes, and make sure that, see, this would be available only when you would have set your user ID password. If I set the same to no, then in that particular case, that option would go by itself. So it is mandatory that you have the user access control to yes. You mention the user ID password of the administrator, and you set this option to yes for Tally audit feature. Then only it would be available. So once the company has been created through this, you need to go to F11 features. You need to have the setup of the same, whether you want discount or what, or whether you want separate actual bill quantity. Now this is something useful, that is regarding the GST setup. So for GST now, it is really mandatory that you have proper setup here, that from where the client is, I would say, maintaining its books of accounts, what is the GSTN number, whether e-invoice is applicable, e-way bill is applicable, do you want to generate the same from Tally directly? If in case there are multiple GSTN, then in that case you could maintain multiple GSTN also directly from Tally, that is from here. Create another GST registration from the company. So what you could do is, if you have, let's say, 10 GST numbers for one particular company only, then all those 10 GSTN data you could be in a position to manage in a single Tally. You would be able to have GSTR 1 and 3B from single Tally. And apart from that, through cost center wise reporting, you would be able to have the profitability of the same directly through Tally. There is one question, that how to use online access. Can you show and share how this will help us? See, that would be taken in tomorrow's session, but I would just brief you on the same. that what is online access or how it works basically. Now, online access, when we discuss on the same, then you need to just provide this basic details, this contact details and all those stuff. Do you want to connect company on? See, this is the tally.net feature. You need to set the same to yes, or even if you are setting the same to no, you need to manually connect the company whenever you want to have an online access. So better is to have the same to yes only. Show desktop version in report. Once the same has been done, what you could do is in user roles and passwords, you could have one .NET connection. So now see, this is tally.net auditor. So when I select this .NET auditor or .NET order owner or .NET user, it would ask me with a valid mail ID. So what I can do is I could just select my valid mail ID. I would just select this allow browser access to yes, allow remote access to yes. Once I set the same to yes, what would happen? See, whenever there is any company, I could just do one thing. At the time of, I could just connect the same initially from here. Currently my TSS subscription is expired, so it won't let me connect. I could just press this thing. I could just connect on the same. Once I press the connect, then what I can do is I can go to tally portal, tallysolutions.com. I could just log in with my the email ID that has been provided. And that email ID, once I log in the same, I could view these entire reports, balance sheet, PNL, everything from that particular website itself. So this is the .NET connectivity, tally.net connectivity that is been provided. It is one of the useful feature for remote connection. So this was regarding the online access. And there is one more question that, so this security option is not coming in alter dashboard. So that should come. I have just shown you the same. When see when I've shown this in alter transact, it comes that tally audit features, and even it provides you with this particular feature. Now see why it won't be coming is, now see, let's say here if we consider currently this alter transaction, it is disabled. That is because you don't have the valid rights for the same. So what you need to do is you need to log in through the admin credentials. Once you log in through the admin credentials, then in that particular case only you would be able to have that particular alter transaction report. Hope the same has been clarified. So this was the basic company setup and the company configuration. Going to the F11 features, we were discussing on the GST. So if you have multiple GST, even that could be managed directly from here through Tally. So this is again one of the good feature that Tally has provided further. Now previously the multiple GSTN was not supported. Now even the multiple GSTN, you could have the GSTR 13B of multiple GSTN directly through one backup itself. And even the e-invoice and e-way bill for the same could be generated directly from Tally. So again, I would say this is really good feature that Tally has provided. Let's say if I set the same to yes, then in that particular case, it would provide me with the another details that provide the GSTN of the other location or the other state. There is a question that other territory means different branch of same company for consolidation. Other territory, you are asking from what perspective? I just didn't get it. See, basically it is something that this option create another GST and registration of the company. This is the other branch of the same company. So let's say you have separate registration in separate state. Let's say one in Gujarat, one in Maharashtra, one in, let's say, Tamil Nadu. Then in that particular case, you could set this option to yes, and it would provide you with the details of the same, that provide the details for all the three states, and you would be able to have the GSTR 1 and 3B for all the three states in a single tally data. So this is useful for multiple GSTN. Similarly, this is for TDS, TCS. You could just mention the basic setup for TDS and TCS. VAT service tax are currently no more in use. For browser access that we discussed, see, it is even mandatory that you need to set this option to yes. Enable browser access for reports and enable tally.net services for remote access and synchronization. Once these both options are set to yes, then only you would be able to have browser access from this. And what is data synchronization? I would even provide just a brief on the same. So let's say if you have multiple branches, branch A is in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, and branch B is in Maharashtra or Delhi. If you want to, it is under the same company and you have maintained two separate data for the same. And if you want that both the companies data should be merged in a single company for consolidation purpose, then there is an option in tally for data in synchronization, through which all the transaction would by default come in tally in the third tally that has been there. So it acts like an head office which integrates all the transaction of both the companies. That is a bit complex process and even the entire setup needs to be done. But again, that is the default feature of tally that has been provided. So this data synchronization is again one of the really good feature for multiple branches or integrating data or for the consolidation purpose. Then these are the payroll. If you want to share the payment QR, you could even have it from here. So these are some of the useful setup which you need to do at the time of company creation. There was question, all right, and we can consolidate all financials also. So yes, see, if you are maintaining in same data multiple GSTN, then it is the PNL is very well consolidated by itself. If you are maintaining in different tally datas, then in that particular case, for all those different tally datas, you could use data synchronization through which all the data would be merged by itself just through single click. So that is again, data synchronization is a very good feature, and yes, consolidation is very, very possible in Tally. There is one more question that shows some highlights on cost centers. Okay, I would even try to take up with the same. There's a question for remote access. What security concern to be taken care for protecting the data leakage? See, there is no data leakage in remote connection. What is more or less, if you consider, it is just a virtual, I would say, screen of your tally. So when these options are set to yes, your data is ultimately lying on your server only, in whichever server you would have provided, the local computer or the server hardware server if you have. Your data is there only. It is just for remote access. It is just the virtual screen of tally that has been provided. So it is just the screen. There is no data transfer or anything. It is just the virtual screen that you are viewing. So there is no breach of data security or anything in the remote access in tally. There is a question that, sir, in case of contractors where we have to maintain separate expense records for each of the contractors and the same to be reflected in profit and loss statement separately, what is the solution other than cost centers? See, in this particular case, I would say cost center is one of the best, I would say, best option that is available. That if you want to have a single ledger only in profit and loss, then you could just have a single ledger and you could just provide the cost centers for the same. However, the other option is you could have one group. Let's say contractor expense is one group. Under that particular contractor expense, you could have different ledgers. Contractor A, contractor B, C, D, E, so that you have a separate details of the same. But on the face of the PNL, it would just reflect with one particular contractor expense itself. So other than cost center, that is the option that has been available in Tally. Now we would discuss on this particular thing that is regarding the cost center. That is, someone asked the same. Now see, first thing in cost centers for any of the ledgers. So I would say first thing, to enable cost center, there would be an option that has been provided here. That is, do you want to enable cost center? You need to set the same to yes. This is in maintain accounts, enable cost centers. Once the same has been set to yes, then only that option would be highlighted. So for, let's say, ledgers, if we go, insurance expense, if we are going, Now see, currently there is no option for cost center that has been provided. If I want to enable the same, I could just press F12 and enable this feature. Apply cost center for ledger. Once I set the same to yes, then in that particular it shows here that cost centers are applicable. I could provide the same to yes. Once I've set the same to yes, what would happen when I enter any of the transaction? Let's say we did in insurance, correct? I'm passing a journal entry. 5,000, 50,000, new reference. Now see here it asked me with the cost centers. So I could define various cost centers. The insurance is for machinery or what purpose, or I would say factory building or what. So I'm just mentioning here building. And name of cost center, I would say factory building. So now see what would happen that let's say I'm selecting any ledger currently. When I would select view the cost center reports, display, statement of accounts, cost center. So there are various report cost center breakup. So I created this factory building. So it shows me with this particular expense of insurance. So whatever expenses you would have mentioned that would be displayed here. So that is again one of the very good feature that has been there. So hope I would say this clarifies. See, there are n number of, let's say there are 50 expenses, then what all expenses have been incurred for your building, or let's say if you want to have project wise, project A, project B, project C, or you want to have the order wise, then you could have cost center based on order wise, or you could have cost centers based on the project wise. So based on the same, you would be able to have the same. So that if you want to view the individual profitability of a particular order or a particular project, then in that particular case, it would be available directly from the cost center report. There is an option, can we view a profit and loss or a trial balance of a particular cost center? So see, profit and loss or trial balance, it is not like that. So whatever transaction you would have tagged the cost center, that would be available here in this particular report, that is cost center report. So this is more or less equivalent to a trial balance or a PNL, whereby debit would show expenses, credit would show incomes. So this itself suggests the profit and loss accounts. So you would be able to have the net idea as at the end that what is your net profitability or the net loss in this particular transaction. And you would be even be in a position to have the groups of the same, that it is grouped under which particular, it is under the sales, indirect expense, indirect income. So let's say now this is the 50,000, I would say indirect expense that we have incurred. I'm just entering one more transaction. Let's say this is the party. I'm just entering sales. So for this also I'm enabling cost centers. Now again going to cost center reports. So now see, it shows me with the details that 1,20,000 sales and 50,000. So my net gain is 70,000 or net loss. So if you want the same, then this PNL is directly available from the cost center report itself. So that would be reflected through this itself. Hope the same has been cleared. And see, you could explore based what are the cost category you want to have it, cost centers you want to have it, you want ledger wise breakup, then even that is possible. So let's say when you open the insurance expense, now one of the ledger is this cost center is factory building, other is let's say plant and machinery. Then for individual ledger also you would have a reporting based on the cost centers. Hope the same has been clarified. If there are any questions, you would just ask me. So this was something in relevance to the cost centers in Tally, which you could just do it, evaluate from your end. Apart from that, there is even cost tracking in Tally. Now, what is that cost tracking? When you go to F11 features, so again, there are options for enable cost tracking. Now, see, this is again one of the really good feature that has been provided when you are doing any sort of manufacturing or anything. If you want to have the entire profitability, then cost tracking provides you with that particular report. Currently, I won't be in a position to explain the same in detail, but I would just provide you with the brief of the same, that whenever you would go this going to display statement of inventory, there is a report called item cost analysis. If you want to view the same, if you would have created, then this cost tracking would show you entire profitability of that particular order. So even you could use the same. Apart from that, there are various other features like sales order outstanding, purchase order outstanding. Now see, just for your understanding how the things work, in any ERP or anything, it is basically from purchase. Initially, sales order comes based on the same. We procure the goods or raw materials based on the same. After procurement, the GRN comes. Goods are actually received in the factory. Post and actually, it purchase invoice is received. Purchase is posted. So, what is the deviation in the same? That how many sales order are pending to be received? How many purchase order are outstanding to be received? That reports also you could get it directly from Tally if you would have properly managed the same. So you could go it order wise, ledger wise, any particular. So if you would have managed proper inventory and proper tracking, then even those reports are available, that how many goods are received and for which purchase invoices has not been received or purchase invoice has been received but goods are yet pending to be received. So similarly, that is sales order outstanding, purchase order outstanding, and sales bill spending. Similarly, purchase bill spending. Even the reorder levels also you could define for any particular stock item. So let's say for any of the stock item, if you want to define the reorder level or the minimum order quantity and what is the order to be placed, this is something that we have already learned in the costing, that what should be the reorder level, what should be the minimum order, when it should be placed. Then Tally by itself, based on the stock available in the system, it provides and calculates with the reorder levels. So this is again one of the really good features if you want to use the same, the reorder levels. Cost analysis we already discussed regarding the cost tracking, sales order, purchase order outstanding. Job work analysis, even if you are sending any goods for job work or doing job work, there is any very specific job work module in Tally which you could use the same. Aging analysis for inventory, if you want, you could have it directly from here, that which stock is lying from what particular point of time. That entire analysis you would have it from here. And this is one of the really good features, that is regarding the stock query. So stock query, I would say, basically it is related to the your goods are lying with you since how much time or since when. I don't have any stock item as of now which is for which data has been entered. Else, what this particular reports provide you is, let's say that what is the last purchase. So you have purchased from which five vendors, you have sold to which five vendors, what were the quantity rate amount for the same, so that you could just compare the same, that which of your client or which of your vendor charges you more or less. So that would be available from the system. How much goods are stored in which particular location, that would be available from the go down batch summary. And which are the items in the same category. Now let's say you are in a retail, so let's say you sell 32-inch television. Now there would be one brand of Samsung, Onida, or LG or anything. So there is no 32. There is a stock item of 32-inch LED TV, but it is not available in Samsung, but it is available for LG. Then in that particular case, clients could even approach and provide that this is not available, but this is there if you want to have the same. So this is basically useful for retail and even I would say for MIS purpose. And these are the basically the costing methods and the valuation methods which has been adopted. So this is again one of the very good report for the businessman, stock query. Inventory books, again we discussed, that is the sales order, purchase order, stock item, batch wise, go down wise, the maintenance of the same. apart from that, there are interest calculations, outstanding aging analysis that has been available from the system. So basically now after 43B, 43BH, it is mandatory that we do have a proper aging analysis so that we could check the allowance and disallowance, so that we could have it from directly from the system itself if you have properly made the entries. So this is something, the crux of Tally, that I would just want to bring to your notice. Apart from that, there are various options like check management that you could do it directly from the system. Payroll would be directly available from the system. Entirely manufacturing process, batch wise processing, job work processing, all those things are readily available from the system itself. You could, I would say, even explore it from your end also. If you are stuck up anywhere, you could even approach me. I would just share with my contact details. So this is something which would be even be useful from audit perspective or for implementing the systems in your clients. And this is, again, I would say, one of the really good ERP if we consider from the accounting and finance perspective, which provides ease to the users also, and even the audit trails and are all those things are clearly visible. So that's it from my end as of now today. If you have any questions, just do let me know. There is one question that through remote access, can we do data entry or we can only view? So see, there are two options. When discussing about the browser reports from the mobile, then from browser reports, you are just able to view the same. However, in case of Tally.net connection, what you are supposed to, let's say you have you have a laptop, you don't have a Tally license, you are sitting remotely. If your company is connected, then in that particular case, by connecting through laptop and installing the educational version also, you would be in a position to do the data entry. So when viewing from mobile or web browser or through Google Chrome, you are not in a position to do data entry in Tally. But if you are using the .NET connection of Tally, then through that feature from laptop, you could do even the data entry in Tally. And there are some third-party vendors also, which provides you with the remote access through web also. So if you want, even that option is available, but that is not something the RDP feature, the default feature of Tally, that are available through various partners. But yes, through .NET connection, you would be in a position to do it. Even if you have an educational version, you are sitting somewhere, you could do it directly from your system also. Then there is one more question, that can we restrict our user to access the data folder by using the security features of Windows? Even then he can do data entry. So see, if I would just say that in this particular feature, if Windows from Windows also itself, if you have blocked that particular user from data entry, then in that particular case, that folder won't be available and he won't be in a position to open the Tally. However, if the Tally is already opened from some other user who has a valid rights, then in that particular case, if he has access in Tally, then in that particular case, he would be able to do data entry. uh, Basically the purpose is he cannot copy the data. So in that particular case, I would just tell you that you just hide the path of your company. So once you hide the path, then in that particular case, and he won't be in a position to know that from which particular part the data has been accessed. So yes, that is possible that from Windows. See, however, what would happen that if in Windows itself you would have blocked the same, he doesn't have right, then Tally also would, I would say, block the same. So if there is some user who has access to the same, then only he would be in a position to access that particular folder, because else Tally he needs the permission rights. Or what you could do is you could just set the default path in Tally so that he doesn't have access to the same, and Tally by default reads that path and open the company and he can do the data entry. Is there any charge we have to pay to Tally for .NET connection? There is no separate charge. For remote connection, there is no separate charge. Only thing is that you need to have a valid TSS subscription. However, if you want to use the third-party solutions of the partners, then yes, for that they charge. But .NET also is one of the good feature. If your company is connected on your server, then remotely also you could do data entry in Tally through Tally.NET services. And through web browsers, you could view the same. without paying any additional charge. Only thing is you need to have a valid TSS subscription. That is the yearly renewal charges that Tally charges. There is one more question. In one of my client office, Tally was given security controls to different user with different right. But when different laptop was connected to this network, then that laptop user could access all the Tally without any user restriction. Can this be corrected? See, it is not practically, I would say, possible. Any Tally data, be it be in your network or when, let's say, even if you would have mailed it to any other person, then in that particular case, if he has access to the Tally credentials, then only he would be in a position to access the data. So it has more or less nothing to do with the network land security or the network security. It is with the Tally data. If he has a password of admin of Tally, then in that case he would be in a position to access everything. However, if he doesn't have the admin password, then it would be restricted to the rights that has been allotted to him. So you could just define the user rights properly regarding the same. There is one more question. Is there any option in Tally where we can fill all the details of fixed deposits, date, maturity value, and rate of interest? I would say not exactly, but see, what you would do is fixed deposit date is generally the date when you do your fixed deposit. There is a default working in Tally for interest calculation. So for that particular ledger, you could set the rate of interest so that Tally would provide you with the report of the interest calculation directly. Maturity date is something that is not available directly currently in Tally. You could just mention in narration or any other tab, or what you could do is you could just get it customized as per your requirement through any of the Tally partners. But yes, currently what you could do is you could just use it as a part of you would have just whenever you would do FD, just enable interest calculation to yes and provide the rate of interest. And you could even do one more thing, the rate of interest period you could provide, so that maturity date you could just enter the period till when interest is to be calculated, and that is to be your maturity date. So in that case, that workaround is possible. And if you want a very precise thing, that you could even have the customization from any of the Tally partner. One more question for capital expense. What is the right way of creating the ledger? It item wise or I didn't get it the question exactly, but see, for capital expenditure, it is just something that you there are two ways. Capital expenditure, see, one is fixed assets. If you have bought any fixed asset, that you could directly capitalize and group it under the fixed asset itself. However, considering a reverse scenario whereby you would have incurred some of the let's say charges, also freight charges or XYZ for the same, then in that particular case you could just pass a JV and provide the same to WIP and charge the same to a particular fixed asset. Other point is creating the for creating fixed asset register. If whether you want the same stock item wise, or I would suggest that rather than doing the same stock item wise, stock item generally affects your PNL. So don't do it stock item wise, rather have a bill wise option in the fixed asset. So let's say you have a fixed asset named computer. Now in that computer, you set the bill wise option to yes. Once you have set that particular option to bill wise to yes, then in that particular case, let's say 1st April 23, you bought 20 computers, 1st April 24, other 30 computers. So you would have the fixed asset register directly from the Tally itself. Rather than maintaining stock item, you could even do the same, that is through bill wise in Tally. There is one more question. In case of remote access, we have multiple clients but want to give access only for one client out of all. So is it possible? So yes, it is very well possible. See, for remote access is always for a particular company. So even if we look into this, then see, when you go to company, you are providing the user role. See, currently I have two companies that has been opened, but it asked me that I want to configure the user roles and user rights for which particular company. So I selected the demo company, and here I need to provide with the credentials. So it is always for a particular company. It is not for the entire, I would say, list of all the clients for a particular company. It is just you can very well provide it for a single client to the person. Okay, so hope all the majority of queries are resolved. I think other things I would say that we can even take it tomorrow. That is regarding the audit, how we could do audit directly from Tally, which is one of the really good features in Tally. Remote access also we could discuss in detail tomorrow. If there are any further questions, you can just do let us know. Uh, Contact details, I would say panelist would share you with the same.
Thank you, Kunal sir. I think we are about time, sir. So thank you for taking today's session, sir. And it was quite a learning experience for the participants. And the recording of this today's session will be shared in the group itself after the 2-day training has been done. Within a week, the YouTube link for the recording will be shared. So participants need not to worry about what you have learned today. It will be there forever on the YouTube. Thank you, Kunal sir, for this session. And I hope to see you in future sessions also. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.